You're listening to Walk the Herd on 93.7 The Ticket, when unheard issues get brought to light and every perspective counts. Here is your host, Rebecca Pearson.
Okay, welcome in Sunday night, Walk the Herd. It is 7:03. It's not too bad in here tonight. We are delighted to be here. I have a great show for you tonight. If you've not joined us, this is 93.7 The Ticket, Walk the Herd. If you've not joined us before, we are a show about unheard perspectives. So this is a show where every perspective counts, and we try to focus on issues that maybe you haven't heard or talked about before. So we have a great show with Mandy Monson in studio, and Aniko Renee is getting her camera squared away and will be with us shortly. She can give a shout out when she joins here. Okay, let's do it. Mandy, welcome.
I love it. Thank you.
Yeah.
I feel like I was here last night.
You were. It's like deja vu.
It's like deja vu. I'm back.
But you're in the guest chair tonight, which is exciting.
I like you guys. Like I sat down in that chair, and Rebecca's like, "Well, if you want to be, telling us the time and everything." I was like, no. I would like to be here tonight. This would be great. I appreciate it.
She gets to relax. So if people are not familiar with Mandy, she's our post-match volleyball host and is killing it. This is new for us this season. So we're really grateful to have you. Lots of great feedback from you doing it this year. You're enjoying it?
I love it.
Yep.
Like I absolutely love it. It has allowed me to, be more intentional on how I observe and watch and celebrate and support the Huskers, because I played 1996 through 1999, and I love Husker volleyball. Like it is, I bleed red.
Mm-hmm.
And so to be able to have the opportunity to then talk about it right after the match and all
when
the
you're
things.
Fired up.
Oh my God, it's amazing. I love it.
You do such a great job of kind of a 360, right? Fan perspective, player perspective, coach perspective, business perspective, which is all great. And you have a very unique background that makes you a terrific guest for tonight, because I've been doing a little research on women's sports, which is always something of interest to me since I'm a champion of women. And Aniko, feel free to join in here whenever you would like. You there, I guess. I can see you.
I'm here.
There she is.
Excited.
Okay, so we're gonna set up Mandy for this conversation. So while Mandy is doing our post-match coverage for volleyball, she just told you she played. She's also a 10X coach. I'm going to let her explain to people what that is. And she owns a business, and she's the founder of an organization that she's trying to bring to life. So she has a lot of perspective on something I wanted to talk about, which is women's sports and how it can help women climb the ladder, essentially. Because I was doing this research for a sports marketing class that I'm getting ready to teach, and I found some statistics. I'm just going to read one to tee up the conversation here. For example, let's see, half of the women that are in leadership positions credit the skills acquired through sports for their leadership development. Mm-hmm. And historically and systemically in this country, we haven't had women's sports for as long as men's sports. Mm-hmm. So when we talk about some of the opportunities that we are all trying to overcome and for equality, women have just had less opportunity till Title IX came along and really changed that.
Right.
But then also it just varies widely for lots of different reasons, and we could talk about that tonight. So you have a great background for talking about how, as an athlete, sports could have helped you in business, as well as, a whole bunch of other things that are around this topic. So why don't you give folks a rundown for the non-volleyball part that they may not know you about?
Sure. Yes. Well, I appreciate that opportunity. So I wear multiple hats in my business, in my business world, in my career. And I've also sat at many different seats at the table, from my, graduating college to getting, where I'm at today. What I do today is I'm a 10X licensee and business coach with the 10X community with Grant Cardone. If you Google Grant Cardone, you will see him, and the 10X business coaches are really his legacy. So Grant Cardone is known for being the master of sales and marketing. He also owns a large multifamily real estate portfolio. And so I've been in the 10X community since 2020. And during that time, I've also started my own real estate business, which is self-storage real estate. That brand is Store 365, as well as Guardian 44 Storage. So I have a self-storage portfolio. But in addition to that, in 2020, I kind of started this journey where I went from kind of working the corporate world and being in a W-2 position to starting my own businesses. And in addition to that, I started a brand called For the Girls Club. And the reason why I started that brand is because there's a boys club. The boys are all in it. They know they're in it.
Right.
They get, they grow up being in it. And it's the boys club.
Yes.
And so when I started that brand, it just really had a ring to me. Also, I was the number 4 in college. And so you'll notice if you see any of my handles, I always have the number 4. But I really feel like in my brand For the Girls Club, which it's in its infancy, I'm growing it. I am on Instagram. And then I do coaching specifically with high achieving women in that business, because there are just things that as women, and it starts out as girls, that we really we grow up differently societally with different cues, with different things. And so in my coaching, it's really helping high achieving women get to where they want to go using 10X business principles, but also coaching that I've received to help them overcome limiting beliefs and negative commands.
Wow.
So in doing all of that, I'm a very high achievement oriented person.
You think?
If you can't tell. And to bring it back to the conversation that you started, I've been an athlete my entire life, and that never ends. It just never ends. It's just a different way of how you apply those mechanics and principles of strategy and competition and high achievement. And now I do that in my working life, in my business life, and I also do it in my family life.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Once an athlete, always an athlete kind of a thing.
Yeah. I mean, and it just, I grew up in a small town in Wallace, Nebraska. It's about 4 hours west of Lincoln. I grew up in a farming family. I'm blessed to have parents that really pushed me, that I learned how to work when I was younger, helping out on the farm, but I was always involved in athletics and sports. I'm the youngest of 3 kids, and so I think that makes a difference too. But I had, my mom played volleyball in high school.
Oh,
so
interesting.
yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, she was a very good volleyball player. So it's kind of, I really think like the Gen X, which I'm in the Gen X age group, we are like this generation who and I know every generation does, right? Because, like we're always evolving, and it never stops until it stops. But I think for our group of generation and our women, we've really seen like this transition, and we're consistently and constantly going through it. And I do think that makes our generation unique in that when you look at athletes such as myself, a lot of us are now having children that are now going on and playing athletics in college, et cetera, et cetera. And so I think you're seeing that more today with my generation of kids having kids, right? Because we were the kids of women that, right? My mom played volleyball in the 60s.
Very unusual.
That was just right when it was starting.
Very unusual.
But there was no basketball back in the day for my
women,
mom.
right?
But they played volleyball and they ran track.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't even remember volleyball in high school. So I'm a baby boomer. Last year, the baby boomers.
Yeah.
We didn't have, I don't think we had women's volleyball sports competitively, at least not that I remember.
Yeah.
We could run track.
Yep.
And then we had like the dance team.
But you had to have a button-up blouse.
Oh, yes. Well, yeah, we were fully covered in things that weren't
That's
comfortable.
what my mom was like. We had to have a button-up blouse. It was crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
You're hot as heck. And
Yeah.
might as well have been wearing flannel.
Completely uncomfortable.
All I remember is track and field, dance, and cheer. That was it
Yes.
for women.
My
There
mom
might have
was
been
also
some more.
a cheerleader.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah,
Excellent.
yeah.
Well, and so now, even in that whole span of time, we just in the last 2 years have professional women's volleyball. Professional.
Correct.
Right? I mean,
yes.
Tremendous. If you just focus on volleyball, never mind the other sports that are now far more accessible, volleyball is really setting the stage. Women's basketball, of course, has had a professional league for several decades, but volleyball is it's a long time between women's basketball professionally and the next women's professional sport.
It is.
Or at least most popular sport. There's probably another one. I don't really know what I'm talking about, Mandy. Help me out
Well,
here.
I will help you with this. If you look at statistically what's going on
Yes.
with volleyball today, volleyball is the most popular team sport in the United States. It has surpassed basketball.
Okay.
And you see that
For
because
women.
For women.
Yes.
I'm only
Because there
talking
is
about
men's
women.
volleyball, but yes, not. Yes.
Yeah, I don't know the statistics around the men's.
Right.
But so
Interesting.
yeah, volleyball is the most popular team sport. When you look at individual sports, I think maybe there are some other sports from a numbers perspective that might be
Mhm.
higher. Excuse me, might be higher. But from a team perspective, volleyball is leading that in the United States, and it is pulling away from basketball, which is not a great thing. And the reason for that is because you're seeing more athletes become one sport athletes, which is not great. Like that's another topic we
Yes.
could have. But I think there's a couple things going on in regards to, just the maturation and the popularity of the sport of volleyball,
Right.
which it is also growing on the men's side and on the boys' side.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Like I have a good friend of mine that just sent me a picture of, I want to say maybe they were in Louisville, Kentucky, and it was a boys tournament for club volleyball, because boys club is going on right now. Because I think traditionally for sports, boys play in the spring where girls play in the fall.
Right.
So I just think overall the sport itself is increasing in popularity. I think its marketability is getting better with the structure and the changes that they've made with the game. And Nebraska is obviously one of the epicenters of volleyball, because it has been historically, if you look back at what the University of Nebraska and what the Nebraska volleyball program has done, but also when you look at the LOVB league and then the league that the Supernovas are in, Omaha is one of the best cities that host volleyball for the professional leagues.
Right. Yeah. It's phenomenal. And Aniko, I don't know if you want to weigh in on what you see in Maryland and chime into this conversation.
Definitely. Volleyball is also super popular here. We don't have any men's volleyball in the high schools. I was what we call the manager for the volleyball team. So I kept score and washed uniforms, but I created such a community. Those girls watching the power in just their serves, their communication, their being a team. It was such a great groundwork for my high school experience. And we're definitely seeing an uptick in participation here as well. So I love it.
What's been your observation? So let's start with high school, and Mandy has daughters in high school playing volleyball, or just, any women's sports now. We don't have to talk all volleyball, although it dominates. Go Huskers.
Yeah.
What did you see now that you're stepped back and you're in the work environment? What were the girls learning in high school that you feel were valuable skills from just a sport in general? How would you characterize that?
As a millennial myself, I will say perhaps we've taken the availability of women's sports for granted a little bit. They've always been there for us, but the leadership aspect is the number one thing that comes to my mind. I was on dance team as well, and that was just more leisure, I would say. Definitely still hard work, definitely still got a concussion. It is a sport, but the leadership and communication skills needed to have a successful bump set spike is A1. So that's the thing I noticed most.
I'd love to talk about that because I was not an athlete. I did dance. And frankly, if you ever asked me, were there leadership opportunities in dance? I would say no. I mean, I just a different time, right? I'm a boomer, different time. But as athletes, what are the leadership opportunities in sports?
Yeah. So do you mind if I chime in?
Go for it.
So I have a daughter that dances, and she dances competitively. And we're not talking just, going to the studio and taking a couple classes.
She's a pistol. I've met her.
Josie is at the studio.
Yes.
She's at United Dance Collective here in Lincoln. I'm going to give them a shout out because it's a fantastic dance studio. Vivian Ball runs it. Josie's at the studio 18 hours a week.
Whew.
Yeah. And there are leadership opportunities in those studios if you're a student that is willing to help assist, do things like that.
Okay.
And in dance, I say dance is it's very competitive, and it's also very mentally taxing because it's a team sport, but it's based on a bunch of individuals that are perfecting their craft, and they have to time it and do it at the same time and execute everything. And so it really is. And I've been a dance mom now for over a decade because my oldest daughter, Blaine, who now plays volleyball, she's the volleyballer. She's the one that got us into it. So there definitely are leadership opportunities in, I think, the realm of dance and also in the realm of cheer, because what's happened with those sports, I think when you look at sports, right, the popularity of a sport, it right, follow the money and follow the marketing, to be quite frank.
Right.
And so as the money of those sports gets bigger in regards to who is the paying customer and who's the paying client, which in dance, it's parents, right, going to competitions and whatnot. But the same thing holds true for volleyball when you think about club volleyball, right? So there's a high school season, and then all of these girls and young men are going to go play for a club. So my daughter plays for Nebraska One Volleyball Club that's owned by Tanya Tauke Dorn, who's also been on the show and been a host with me. So anyway, there's money in that as well. But I think anytime you're in a competitive environment where there's a target, well, I always talk about targets, and that comes from 10X and having a target. And so the target, right, whether you're on a dance team and you're competing in a dance competition, or you're on the volleyball court, it's to win. Now, I'm not saying it's all about winning, but the target is to win. And I think when kids can be put in environments and structures that have strategy to it, whether it's dance or whether it's volleyball, that is a good thing for humans, because structure is good for humans.
Sure.
And it's great for,
well, especially youth, right?
Yes.
Where you're learning structure.
Totally.
Back to, what are you learning in sports that helps you in the real world if you're not a professional athlete playing for the next 10 years?
Correct. And by the way, majority of people are not going to be professional athletes.
No, exactly.
I mean, again, we could have another conversation about the massive amounts of money that are being spent by parents for majority of kids that are not going to play professionally in sports, and that are not going to dance professionally in the arts.
Right. So you're really developing them for the real world, and the 1% will get through and maybe play professionally. And even when they make it professionally, they don't last that long professionally, right? There's another 1% of those folks that are in it for their life.
Yes. So
something like that.
So I think that's when, and that's where, from a mindset standpoint, as a parent, what does that structure, whatever program, whatever high school, right? Right. Because that makes a difference too. And I think going back to what you talked about earlier, I think for young women, I think athletics is a huge platform for people to be able to propel themselves into the working world, into the collegiate world, to be able to perform, because what they're used to is having a target.
Right. So they're competitive. I mean, I think, yes, the target means they have a goal or an objective to achieve.
The target gets broken down, like, right? The ultimate target is to win, but then, then we're going to break down the target with goals and reps to then get to that, and think about what we do in the business world. Right.
Well, I was thinking about, just recruiting, and Aniko and I are always talking about jobs and hiring and talent, right? I mean, talent is one of these things. I use a sports analogy constantly, because for some reason in the business world, you can attest to this.
Yeah.
We think we can teach people to do anything. But in the sporting world, we would never say that, ever.
I think that's a great point.
Ever. But in the business world, somehow we think, okay, you're on this trajectory. We'll train you to do this. Then you move to this job. We train you to do that. You become a supervisor. You're terrible, but that's the next thing on the track.
Right.
You've got this whole thing going on, and business people, because I think they don't have a lot of that sports analogy, at least in their head.
Right.
But when I have athletes that achieved any level of success, just, 4 years in high school or 2 years in college, whatever, those athletes have different mindsets when you hire them and put them in a regular job. And I assume that's because they have learned that from sports.
Yes. And because they've been in a structure that, Right. Basically, this is why when an athlete shows up, like you
Mhm.
said, there's a resume.
Yes.
A lot of times those people will get interviewed
Mhm.
because that employer knows that, okay, well, we know that they've been in an athletic program and we know that they've been able to compete at a high level. And then depending on what program you were in, I mean,
Right.
I know that I got interviews because I had on my resume that I was a Husker volleyball player and I was also a team captain in 1999.
And what does it mean to be
that's why athletics, it does make a difference
Right.
for you, for sure.
And you've gravitated to coaching and owning your own business. Like, I'd love to get your perspective on what did you learn as an athlete that you think either helped you identify who you were just naturally or contributed to your interest in being a 10X coach. And people don't probably really know what 10X is. Maybe they can imagine
They're
what
going
that
to Google
means.
it now. Listen, you guys, like what I'm doing right now is just creating omnipresence. So you know what I'm doing.
Yes.
Yeah. You're going to Google Grant Cardone and 10X and 10X business coach. And you're going to see me there as a certified business coach. But you know I think you asked me like having an athletic background was right. What does that help you do for business?
Give me a minute. We'll take a break and come back and dive into it even more.
So then I can really think about it and process it.
Okay, awesome. So we'll take a little break. When we come back, we're going to talk to Mandy about what it is from her athletic life that helped her become a 10X coach and a business owner. And this is Walk the Herd with Aniko and Rebecca. We'll be right back.
Hey guys, it's Carly from Boyd Farm Outfitters. Farmers, you need to know about Green Eye Spot Spray. With Green Eye, we replace your existing spray boom with a brand new aluminum boom equipped with camera technology that identifies and sprays only weeds and not your crop. The boom comes with 2 spray lines so you can still broadcast residual herbicide while you're spot spraying weeds that are up. Green Eye users in Nebraska are saving a ton of money on herbicides, but that's just the beginning. Learn more at BoydFarmOutfitters.com. That's BOECK FarmOutfitters.com.
If you want to make new floor shopping easier, come to O Street Carpet. Hi, I'm Steve Carper. Our flooring professionals can help you choose the best flooring for you, your family, and your budget. We eliminate the confusion. Even better, you'll be enjoying your new flooring much sooner. No 6 or 8 week waits. We'll install right away and save you money on installation. Floor shopping made easy every day at O Street Carpet. O Street Carpet. 1732 O Street. Family owned and operated. Always the best value.
This is former Husker and NFL linebacker Jay Foreman. For years, I've suffered from degenerative problems in both of my ankles, but thanks to a thorough and thought-out plan provided by Advanced Medical Imaging, I was able to get my life back with the least amount of pain as possible. While working through multiple options, the team of physicians at Advanced Medical Imaging were there to answer any questions I had. If you're experiencing any pain at all and want to get your life back, go to amimaging.com or give them a call at 402-484-6677. Advanced Medical Imaging, located at 7601 Pioneers Boulevard.
At Parkview Animal Hospital in Lincoln, it's not just their professional care that sets them apart, but their warm staff and state-of-the-art facilities. Whether it's for a routine checkup or a comprehensive medical procedure, at Parkview, your pet isn't just another number, but a valued member of their caring family. Visit them at pahlincoln.com today and in person just south of 14th and Pine Lake Road. Parkview Animal Hospital, your pet, their passion for happier, healthier, furry friends.
I'm Karen Carr. I've been a realtor for 31 years. When I made a company change 12 years ago, I chose Lincoln First Realty, now NP Dodge. It's the oldest independently owned realty company in the country. Since becoming NP Dodge, we've continued our tradition of community involvement. Our management and staff are always available to offer support in marketing, technology, social media, and educational opportunities.
Expand your career with NP Dodge. Call Eric at 402-434-2222.
It's the holiday season. Time for work parties, friend get-togethers, and family gatherings, which means lots of eating. Maybe you think you've perfected your holiday meals, and maybe you have no idea where to even start. Let's fix that right now. No holiday party is complete without Pearson cheese spread. It goes well with any type of cracker, pretzels, apples, chili, vegetable chips, and of course, it's perfect to pair with wine or beer. Holiday meals aren't complete until Pearson cheese spread is on the table. Find your own container at your nearest local grocery store today.
Things that impair you come in many different shapes and sizes. Some are the shape of beer and liquor bottles. Others look like cigarettes but aren't cigarettes at all. These are the things we know impair us, the things our parents warned us about. What we're not always aware of is our new prescription, or the over-the-counter medicine we picked up just for allergies or a bad cold. See, it doesn't just matter how much of a substance you take. If you are impaired, driving is deceptively dangerous. Don't drive impaired. Paid for by the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
Midwest Bank is hosting our annual Thanksgiving food drive, partnering with local Lincoln schools to provide Thanksgiving dinners to families in need. We hope to provide meals for more than 120 families in our community this year. You can help by dropping off a donation at either Midwest Bank location, 7001 Pioneers Boulevard or 2655 Jamie Lane. Any donation is greatly appreciated. Your community, your bank, Midwest Bank, member FDIC.
Fall is officially here, and Brown's Shoe Fit has just the right style and comfort your feet deserve. Stop in to see a wide selection of all your favorite brands, including Brooks, Hoka, Echo, Keen, and many more. At Brown's Shoe Fit, they take the time to measure your feet to ensure proper fit. They also have the largest selection of Uggs and Hokas in Lincoln. Brown's Shoe Fit at 66th and Q.
This is where it happens. Long hikes with friends, kayaking adventures with family, more horseback riding, zipline gliding, rock face climbing, hammock camping fun than you could ever imagine. And it's all outdoors, amongst the trees and across the prairie, here beneath Nebraska skies. Plan an outing today at yournebraskaadventure.com. Sponsored by Nebraska Game and Parks, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
You're listening to Walk the Herd on 93.7 The Ticket. Here is your host, Rebecca Pearson.
All right, welcome back. This is Aniko and Rebecca in Walk the Herd. And we are talking to Mandy Monson, who is our post-match volleyball wizard, but also in her own right, a business owner, founder, 10X coach, and a whole lot of other things. And prior to the break, I had asked Mandy to ponder as an athlete, what has she learned from that that's helped her in her current positions, specifically maybe around leadership? And then we went into a whole nother conversation about women's sports and men's sports that maybe we'll bring up here. And Nico, feel free to jump in when you wish.
Oh, sure.
All right.
I was going to say, I was thinking on the break, when I said leisure, I should have said passion. All of us, it was way more artistic focused than volleyball was, is what I meant. So, but absolutely, being a dance mom is an incredible feat. Being a dancer is an incredible feat. So I wanted to piggyback on that and make sure I did.
I'm with you. I get, totally get it.
Mhm.
So as we were pondering, I think we came up with like 5 more shows.
Yes. As we always do.
So I think what, athletics for me has done, I'll talk about myself.
Sure.
And,
you're an entrepreneur, right?
Yeah, I'm an entrepreneur. I've always been, high achieving. And like we were talking about during the break, I've sat at many different positions, or I've had many different perspectives in my working life. So I have worked at large, publicly traded companies. I worked at Nelnet for a while. Then I went into banking, and I was at Union Bank and Trust and was a commercial loan officer and learned how to underwrite. Then I was, then I went from there and worked at Resort Lifestyle Communities. These are all Lincoln companies, guys. And I went out, and I basically went out and got the debt for that company to go build buildings. And then what I moved into was being my own owner and having my own self-storage portfolio and going out. And now the debt is myself, and I'm signing on the debt, and I'm making the decisions, and I'm the one that's running the company. And I think in all of those facets, whether it's, I forgot that I got my Series 7 and my 63 right out of college and worked at Salomon Smith Barney.
She's an overachiever, folks.
Well, here's what I've done. Any position that I took, I really tried to learn and tried to figure out, how do I do it to the best of my abilities, and how can I be the best?
And how does that relate to what you learned in sports?
Because that's what you do in sports.
Okay.
If you're a high level athlete, you're gonna you look at the competition, whether it be individually where you're competing for a spot on the team, or you're looking across the net or across the on the court or on the field, and you're competing. But I just think having a driven personality, but I think also I'm guessing you have this a personality where you like to learn and you like to grow and you like to develop. This is what we were talking about during the break. Like, it's not, I mean, when you're growing as a person and as a human, that's why athletics are so great, because it's not just the physical, it's not just the mental. It builds and it builds and it builds. And I think in my career and my working life, it's kind of a similar thing, because like you learn for sure mental skills when you get into business. And when you go from working in a very structured environment where we talked about, I think in business and in careers, there can be different paths. There can be the done for you path, which is, okay, you're going to go and you're going to go work for someone else, and they're going to have all the structure for you, and they're going to give you the tasks, and then they're going to show you, okay, how you can rise up maybe in the leadership. That's kind of, I think, done for you. But there's also people that are very, I call, intrapreneurial within a company. Like, there are very many people that have not owned the company, been second in line or third in line, that have done very, very well, and they got to do it in a structure. And then there's entrepreneurs or business owners that are creating the business. They are doing all of the doing.
Right.
But you still take those perspectives that you learned in athletics then to run your business.
Right. And I'm sitting here listening to you and thinking about, I was not an athlete in any way, shape, or form, and had no interest in being one. I mean, I ran track. Okay, whatever.
Sure,
I did
sure.
dance, but it was in high school and I wasn't good, and I didn't do it for more than 1 year. So I was not an athlete. I'm athletic for sure. I just was not an athlete. And some of those things I feel like I learned somewhere. I learned maybe in the work environment. But one of the things that strikes me about sports, and I'd love to test you on this, just get your perspective, because I didn't give you any questions to think about ahead of time. So I know I'm putting you on the hot spot, but there's something about handling pressure that is super important in leadership.
Yes.
And super important in a work environment. And when you are a high performing athlete, I don't know how you build that mental toughness from losing, from people shouting at you not very nice things, to just the grind of becoming an elite athlete, all of those things. What else is in that space when I say something like that?
Training.
Training.
Like, what comes to mind, and this also goes back to, I'm a 10X business coach. We talk a lot about training in the 10X world. And I think the same holds true for being an athlete. Like, when you think about people that have, let's say if they're playing college athletics or if they're now in the pros, I mean, they've been training since they were, I don't know, young, especially these days. And so I think that training and also that grit, we talk about grit, and by the way, not all athletes are the same. Not all business people are the same in how they train. So do they have a success schedule? Right. And usually when you look at the greatest athletes and the greatest business people, they have some type of success schedule. They had a repetition of how they went about their day. And I think when you play in athletics, you just automatically get that structure. Does that make sense?
It does. How do you train yourself for losing?
Well, I don't know if you ever train yourself for losing, but what you do is when you train, you are putting yourself through the repetition and the process to be able to leave it all out on the court, to be able to present your opportunity, if it's a business deal or if it's a marketing plan or if it's a development project, right? You're going to do some repetition on that. You're going to learn how to be a sales professional. You're going to learn how to, do you know what I'm saying? And a lot of that, when I think about how does athletics play into that and into the business world, is the reason why I think athletics does help people in the business world and helps them go out and be successful is because you're used to being in that environment. Like, I am a coach and I love to be coached.
Okay.
That makes sense?
Yes.
So I have my own coach
Yes.
because I like to be coached.
Uh-huh.
I like to have targets and I like to be held to account. And sometimes it's nice to have a coach, even when you're a coach, to say, hey, we said we were going to set out and do this,
Right.
this. And so when you think about athletes and when they go into companies or when they build their own businesses, they're used to that environment.
Okay.
And so I think coachability is also a piece of it.
So is there coaching for an athlete when they are, they're on the hook to score the point
Yeah.
that wins the game or loses the game, right? Those clutch situations.
Yep.
And I mean, I feel for every kicker stuck with, kicking the field goal with
Right,
2
right.
seconds left and whatever.
Yeah.
And you might be the one who's doing the last serve in volleyball, right? You need the point. Just those situations where literally it was you that messed up, at least to the outside world. Never mind the 2 hours before where you could have gotten ahead and, didn't put you in that position.
Yeah.
But how do you train or manage that mental toughness that you get with sports that I don't think you really get if you don't play sports?
Yeah. Through repetition. I'm going to go back to repetition. The reason why I say that is if you go back to what Coach Pettit said last night, by the way, everybody go watch
that.
Go watch
It's
the
recorded.
post-match
Yep.
interview on YouTube, wherever you can find all the. But he said, really the coach's job during a match is to stay out of the way. Stay out of the way of players.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why you practice every day is because you are practicing and you are preparing the players for the moments that you just said. Just like as a 10X business coach, there's a program called Cardone University where it's all about sales and marketing. And anybody that's in the 10X community, we're on Cardone University and we're doing sales and marketing repetition through educational segments.
Mm-hmm.
And so athletics, what that does is then so that you're not being an amateur when we think about the Nebraska volleyball team, they are professionals on the court.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why they're professionals is because they train to be professionals every day. And the reason why when you get into the business environment, owning your own business, working for a company, you're doing some sort of training.
Yeah.
Right. The company's training you. Maybe you have your own program that you're training on, because the worst thing you want to do is go into a meeting and be training on your prospect, right?
Right.
That's why you want to do that training behind the scenes and really get prepared so that you can close that deal.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting. I guess you get used to missing the shot or whatever just so many times that when it's in the clutch situation, I'm sure the pressure is extensive,
well,
but
hopefully that in your training,
mm-hmm.
yeah. And this is talking about bringing this back to women athletes
mm-hmm.
and performance for women, high achieving women. It's the training matters because it gives you that competency and confidence. This
mm-hmm.
is any human, but especially women, because we're so programmed when we're younger
mm-hmm.
that we got to be perfect. And so a lot of times we won't go out and do things because we're afraid of failure. We're afraid of making the mistake. We're afraid that we can't do it until we're absolutely perfect. And I'm not saying that. I'm saying that's an ingrained habit of thinking. That's
mm-hmm.
a mindset thing. So then if we train and prepare and put ourselves in that position, then we feel more confident and competent. The next step for us, though, is to go back and be able to talk about issues like this, because we need to understand and know that we are just as worthy and just as amazing and just as accredited and just as skilled to go out there and compete for whatever the job may be. Because when you get outside of athletics, right, majority of sports, there's men's sports and there's women's sports.
Mm-hmm.
But when you get outside of athletics, there's no gender line anymore.
Mm-hmm.
When you go into a business room,
Well, there's
men,
no obvious one.
there's-
There is the unwritten one.
Correct.
Yes.
Which is why bringing this back, that's
Yeah.
why, For the Girls Club is so important to me. And I think that goes back to being able to have conversations like this and look at the statistics and where women's sports really does have a big impact on the business community
Mhm.
that allows women to go compete in the business arena.
And now we have more choices. So if we got 3 generations here, Aniko. So, got the millennial, we got the Gen X and the baby boomer, all here. From my generation, there just were not a lot of options. There were clearly more. And your mom was like a groundbreaker anyway, because she would have been, somewhere between us here. And then in Aniko's generation of just having more of this to help women get a leg up, right? So if you're sort of deprogramming them,
Correct.
with some of these things you've learned from society, right? And, it's called American society here. You have more opportunity for women, and it helps to potentially undo, erase, or further diminish, being behind the men from a developmental standpoint as you enter a workforce or something, is having more access to women's sports. It's one of the exciting things for me as I watch, because just as a marketer, we were always, when I did need access to market to women, there were not a lot of choices if I wanted to do that through sports.
Yep.
And then it was frustrating to see how much the women were not paid and how much, they didn't get the dollars from the media rights. And as a marketer, I totally get why that was financially, and yet it is chicken and egg. Right?
Yes.
They weren't sponsoring and buying it. Therefore, there was less awareness of it because it wasn't televised. And, we could go on and on and on about this. So it's a very exciting trend. And I love to highlight what else that does, right? It is not a pure financial decision and just having opportunities for brands.
Correct.
We're talking about helping to reduce, eliminate, undo systemic bias that's built in through the sports channel, at least.
Correct. And I think what you're seeing right now is, and we talked about this during the break too, right? I mean, it's the evolution, it's the integration, it's the intentionality, I think also that's happening with women's sports. And I think you see it at the collegiate level, at the volleyball level, to bring it back to volleyball, because we're kind of all entrenched in it right now. The amount of coverage that's given for volleyball today is phenomenal.
And guess what? Thanks to the Huskers, this is real.
Yes, it's
Nebraska is on the map and a major, major influencer in volleyball, whether it's Supernovas or just the school or even Love, which is, roots here. There's a lot that you can, Nebraska's on the map, which is funny. We could talk about why we're here in Nebraska, for me anyway, but I love it because Nebraska is on the map and having a very significant influence in women's sports. And with that, we're going to take a break. This is Aniko and Rebecca, Walk the Herd, and Mandy Monson. We'll be right back.
The savings continue all November long at Elway Power Sports of Lincoln. They're extending their red tag sale with machines priced at invoice plus $300. That's it. No freight, no setup, no extra fees. Plus 10% off snowplow kits, 10% off fly motocross gear, and 50% off all in-stock road tires. Elway Power Sports of Lincoln has you covered, all under one roof, with a large selection of side-by-sides, ATVs, motorcycles, and personal watercraft at their 27th and I-80 location. They can't wait to get you set up for the holiday season.
This Black Friday, it is time to hit your goals before the new year even starts. At Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping, get 40% off our next 10-week challenge, plus 6 weeks for free to kickstart your fitness journey. Start training December 1st with kickboxing, strength training, and personalized nutrition. So when our official challenge begins January 10th, you're already ahead of the game. Spots are limited. Don't wait for January to make your resolution. Start strong now. Visit fxbeatlincoln.com or stop by one of our 2 locations at South 40th and Yankee Hill or North 70th and Vine. Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping. Stronger starts here.
MWR is dedicated to building attractive, affordable steel buildings that exceed your expectations. From commercial to residential to agriculture storage, steel buildings are cost-effective, attractive, and versatile. Plus, they're a lasting investment and an ideal choice. MWR uses Sentinel Building Systems out of Albion and can service you all over the state and region. If you have interest in a steel building, post-frame building, or fencing, give MWR a call today at 402-980-5273 or go to mwrbuildingandfence.com.
Hi, Charlie Stone here, and it's that time of the year again. Time for the annual Happy Honda Days at Honda of Lincoln. With me on the line, Andy Goodyear, to tell us all about it.
The exciting news is we have more selection and more savings. We have over 400 new 2025 and 2026 Hondas to choose from, with a great opportunity to get year-end savings on every remaining new 2025.
Do you have some Happy Honda Day specials?
Sure do, Charlie. For example, you can lease a new 2025 Accord Sport Hybrid for just $349 a month, and we have financing from just 0% APR. We've also included over 125 pre-owned of all makes and models, and as always, our certified pre-owns are in this sale as well.
Well, maybe it's time you experience the best. The Honda of Lincoln way of doing business, 27th and Yankee Hill Road, or online at hondaoflincoln.com.
This holiday season, give the gift of good taste with a gift card from Valentino's. During double discount days, double your discount from $5 to $10 free with a $50 gift card purchase. Valentino's handcrafted pizza has been a family favorite for generations, and our gift cards make the perfect holiday gift. And right now, during gift card double discount days, when you buy $50 in gift cards, get a $10 gift card free. Happy holidays from Valentino's.
Leaves are falling and temperatures are cooling down, but don't put your golf clubs away. Double Eagle Golf makes golf leagues and events possible year-round. Winter leagues begin on December 1st and are open for registration. Check out their deals on monthly memberships and schedule your Husker Watch parties, birthday or bachelor parties, corporate or team outings, or just a good old Saturday with the boys. That's all at Double Eagle Golf inside the Kinetic Sports Complex on West O Street. Book a tee time today or learn more at doubleeagle.golf.
You're listening to Walk the Herd on 93.7 The Ticket. Here is your host, Rebecca Pearson.
Is it possible? Okay, Walk the Herd with Aniko, Rebecca, and Mandy. Okay, all right. I have lots of questions for Miss Mandy. She's setting us up for all kinds of interesting dialogue. We're definitely going to have her back.
Love it.
Have her back. Aniko, what's on your mind?
Yes, we've been talking about all the different generations and where we're at past and present. What do you think the future of equality in both sports and the workplace will look like? We can dream all day, but like realistically, from your perspective in both, what does it look like?
That's a great question. Rebecca and I were just talking during the break. I mean, I think when you're specifically talking about women's athletics and women in the workforce, women running businesses, women in the corporate world, it's an evolution. And when progress is made, right, it's not linear. There's opportunities and advancements, stack on top of each other. And I saw a quote the other day. It was on a reel. I don't remember who did it, but it really kind of hit home with me. And they said, well, for right now in the working world, the business hours are 8 to 5, but the school hours are 9 to 3. And so right there, that's a structure that puts women in a precarious position and really a position of having to choose. And listen, I've had to deal with it my entire life.
Because they're often the caretaker of kids.
Because
right?
women are the caretaker of children.
Yes.
That is how
still.
And
majority. We know there's lots of great dads out there, stay-at-home dads, all that good thing.
Exactly, guys. So don't, but that's how it's been in my working life. I'm the main caretaker. But I'm also the main provider. Mm-hmm. And so I think there's a shift that is happening. I think where people get really hung up on it is when they try to place good and bad on it. Mm-hmm. I think
it just is.
It just is. And I think when you look at now we're going to talk about economics and what it costs to raise a child and, what it takes for, especially in the United States, for, household incomes, majority, a lot of times women are going to have to work. And so I think it's, as women, And the reason why for the girls club, I'm working on and growing that brand, and I am developing a community for women, because there is a club for girls where we're working, we're raising children, we're running businesses, we may be the main breadwinner, and we're doing all the things.
All of it.
All the things.
Big S on your chest.
Yes. And that's not like, oh, I'm amazing. I'm just saying that's a reality for women right now.
Right.
And so I think to be able to have conversations like we're having tonight, I love it, because for everybody to advance, not just women, but for men as well.
Sure.
It has
Society,
to be a
right?
way to look at what is happening in society structurally, and how do we look at those structures, and how do we create great structures and opportunities and places of work so that we all thrive. Because let me tell you, the children that are being raised get impacted by both men and women, and it's those are different facets. So I think bringing it back to athletics, I think what happens in athletics and being able to grow women's athletics, I think that's also a part of the evolution of the business.
Yes.
And women being in business, and all of those things flourishing.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you've given us a great perspective, because you touch so many things tonight, Mandy, and we never have enough time to cover everything.
We never do. I feel that way on my show for volleyball.
It's awesome, but we've got probably 30 seconds left. So why don't you give us the vision of For the Girls Club before we sign off?
Yeah. So what For the Girls Club is it is a club for women that are high achieving, that are learning, that are looking to determine their own destiny in the realm of career, wealth, and life, and to be able to give them a space to commune with women, to talk about business, to talk about child rearing, to talk about growing their wealth and their health and their relationships in life with all of their network.
Fantastic. Well, everybody can hear from a D1 elite athlete later in life, Mandy Monson, and what she's been able to do with everything she learned. Thank you for sharing your wisdom. Aniko, thank you.
Thank you, Aniko.
This is Walk the Herd. We'll see you next week.